This episode brought to you by Audible. Audibletrial.com/horrorversion for 30 days free and a book to get you started. For your book recommendation, who is it?
It's Jen.
Hey guys, today I am recommending The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. Sorry, I had to get down on my bookshelf to see.
The Max von Sydow movie?
The Max von Sydow
Does
movie.
Max von Sydow
the very
read it?
same. Yeah, he's hammered shit all the way through.
He looks like hammered shit all the way through.
He reads like hammered
shit
too.
These are
deep cuts from episode 1.
Episode 1. Holy shit, yeah. Mike! You remember episode 1?
Yeah, that's before I changed my name.
So check out Exorcist, guys. If you want to get 30 days free and a book to get you started, go to audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin. But this episode's also brought to you by Nick B. Nick B.
I got this. Okay, so Nick, he has a fun fact.
Does he? Is it a real fun fact this time?
Yeah, he's a
Nick
huge
B.
dork because he played RuneScape back in the day.
First off, it's not RuneScape. It's Runes. Oh, wait, now I'm a dork. It's RuneScape. It's not RuneScape. It's not RUIN. It's RUNE, like rune. I hear what's happening. I hear what's happening. I fell victim to your trap. I'm with you, Nick B. Also, check out God Country at godcountryfilm.com. He wanted you guys to check it out. It actually got funded. They're filming it right now. In fact, they might be finishing up soon.
They are, and they've released some images on social media.
I saw that. So check out God Country Film or whatever. And Nick B. Yeah, check out both.
Here's a warning. I'm going to cough some during this podcast because I'm getting over pneumonia. So, like, if I cough a little bit, please don't be alarmed.
This episode also brought to you by our You Can Get It Patreon levels, Eddie, John, and Veronica. Actually, Veronica just sent us a story of her getting her horror nerd shirt.
That's Veronica?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was my favorite shirt. I loved
nice.
it.
Yeah.
Veronica, thank you so much for getting our merch. Hey, Eddie and John, what shirts are you wearing right now?
Eddie and John, at me some fun facts.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. We should elicit fun facts from Eddie, John, and Veronica.
Eddie, John, and Veronica. Well, we know Veronica is awesome because she wears horror nerd shirts.
Look at you, Eddie and John. Wow, they already pay us every month and you're shaming them for not
Eddie
buying
and
merch.
John are awesome too. We
Eddie
just need
spells
proof.
his name with an I-E.
Ooh.
So if you want your very own Patreon shout out, go to patreon.com/horrorvirgin.
Who knows what kind of stuff we'll make up about
Or you could just send us real fun facts and we'll share fun facts about you. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't send fun facts, it's your fault.
That we make up fun facts about you.
Yeah.
You have been warned. Also, thank you so much for supporting us. Please don't stop supporting us because we make up shit about you.
Hey, Todd.
Yes, Mikey?
Could
What
you
did
bring
you-
in the theme music into the thing?
Wow. You forgot the name podcast? Could you bring the theme music into the thing we do weekly? Yeah, I can do that. We have more hospitals and healthcare companies in Nashville than any other city in the U.S. And you found the nurse you ghosted.
Maybe it's
That's
a sign.
insane.
She looked real mad.
Did you apologize?
I couldn't breathe.
That is not an
She
excuse.
took my breath away.
Oh, welcome to the Horror Virgin, everybody. Yeah. Hey, I'm Jen.
Hey, I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd. And today we have...
Yay, we have a special returning guest today. I'm so excited.
I was going to say his name, but I saw Jen like cocked and loaded with that yay. So I backed off the mic.
Yeah, we've got Jonathan Watkins back with us today.
Thank you. And star of many a Horror Virgin podcast, right? You've been on a few.
Grudge, apparently.
This is, my third, I believe.
Yeah,
I did Halloween and Black Christmas. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this
Oh
is
my
your
God,
first
Black
movie
Christmas.
not in the 70s.
Not in this,
To do with us.
my first non-slasher, non-70s.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Today we watched Paranormal Activity.
We did, yeah. We kind of had a haunted house theme going in May, and this was our culminating haunted house movie for the month.
Yes.
But yeah, you were scared during this movie.
Yeah.
It's a scary one, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so first thoughts. All right.
Yeah, so I hated this movie, clearly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's super low budget, but it sort of works because it's found footage, sort of like Blair Witch Project works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's both found footage. It doesn't really matter that it's shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's part of the campiness of it. I think Blair Witch Project was much scarier, but that may also be because I saw Blair Witch Project in a theater,
Mm-hmm.
and in this movie when we were watching it, Jonathan and Mikey were talking the whole time about like floor plans
In the Mortal
It
Engine.
was a very nice house.
Every time we do a haunted house movie, I critique the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, why don't they paint the walls? And like
Yeah.
they just move in and get haunted.
So in like all the creepiest moments, like the covers are blowing up and her foot's getting grabbed, and they're like, I don't think I'd like that headboard.
I
And we had
know.
like a 10-minute headboard
To be
conversation
fair,
during
you
one of the
looked
scariest
up
parts.
where it was, though, so you could figure out if they had air conditioning
That's
or not.
That's
True.
true. They do have air conditioning. Well, you guys mentioned that this was filmed in San Diego, and I used to live in San Diego. I know a lot of dudes like that because it's a super Navy town, and there are a lot of dudes that are just like, "This is my house. I'm gonna protect you from a demon hail thing." And so I just wanted to be like,
They sound like Bill Cosby.
yeah.
Look at the Jello pudding. This movie did need a scene where he like pulled a gun.
I honestly thought it was going
Like just shot bullets down the hallway.
No,
He needs an Uzi.
Why would you need a gun when you have a lot of baby powder?
Exactly. And a camera.
Those are my first thoughts. Like, I hated the movie. It was scary, but I think it was less scary for me now because you guys were talking the whole time through it. So thank you for that. You're welcome. Although there was, especially the end, was really fucking scary.
Yeah, I did have an issue with the lack of comforter or quilt on this bed, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it was
liked
bugging the fuck out of me. And they would
Yes.
never like tuck their sheets in. That was
I
killing
know.
me too.
They don't make their
Yeah,
bed.
they wouldn't have had the foot grabbing problem if they could tuck their fucking sheets in.
Sometimes I don't tuck my sheet in.
Do you have a fitted sheet on your mattress?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Do you make your bed? Yeah, that's where I am with it. Like, why make the bed if I'm just going to get into it tonight?
No.
I'll see you in 12 hours.
You got to make your bed every day. That's
Why?
the springboard for cleaning the rest of your living space.
Oh, that's what I'm fucking up.
Yeah. You lose
That
stuff in
throwing
your
purses
sheets.
and throwing your dishes in the trash before you wash them. Yeah.
But Mikey, you were saying this was different than watching it in the theater, which I completely agree with.
Yeah, because there was no one talking
I
about
haven't-
floor plans in the theater.
I haven't seen it since the theater. That was
Yeah.
the first time I had watched it, all the way through at least.
Yeah, I saw this. I took a date or like a group of friends, and then in the theater, it was super scary because it's super dark. The sound was real. The sound quality when we watched it wasn't great, but in the theater, it's like all those like boom, 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 boom,
I mean, those were
And
still
people are
scary
just
here.
screaming around you.
and then like in those night scenes, there's not a sound. Like the audience would make a sound. At least in the
Yeah.
I saw, and I was like, I'm so scared.
Yeah, and those are the scenes where you guys were like, "Oh, I don't like the layout of this place. It's weird. Is that a polar bear or a panda
Right.
bear?"
What's up with that black
yeah.
leather couch?
First off, we loved the layout.
Yeah, that house is fire.
It was-
Also, didn't you
Sorry.
start an extended conversation about whether you could put handcuffs in the headboard?
I don't want to talk about this on the podcast.
Yes, we did.
The headboard's too high. You're going to cut off circulation in our arms.
I mean, to be fair, not much happens in the movie. You got to talk about something.
That's true.
That's true.
There isn't a whole lot that happens in the movie, but
And that's the thing about found footage, and that's part of why I really like found footage, is you really have to look at, you can't really check out or you're going to miss something. You know, if you've seen it and you know what's happening, you can, but like you have to pay attention and you're like constantly scanning the screen to see what's going to be, because it's not presented in like a linear storytelling way. It just jump scare after jump scare because you don't know where things are going to come from.
This is a good example of the found footage device being used well.
I think so too.
Yeah.
This
I
is one
think
of my
so, too.
favorite found footage films, and I love found footage.
I like this whole series. So
I do, too.
And the movie I think held up pretty good. Like it gets really creepy as it goes on, but I hated the main character guy a lot
Mika?
more on the second time.
Yeah, I couldn't stand him. I think the lack of acting stood out in this movie.
I think she was better than he was.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
He was pretty bad.
All right, so let's get into this movie. One thing that's notable about this movie, it doesn't have any opening sequence or end credits. So it's just...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice that until I did my research. So we start with Paramount would like to thank the families of Mika Sloat and Katie Featherstone. So we start with Mika and his brand new camera, and he's just wandering around his house talking to cameras. But
Oh,
she
yeah.
pulls up in her little white Corvette, and
It's a
Oh,
Mazda.
yeah,
That's
right.
a
It was
Mazda Miata.
That's a Mazda.
Oh.
Do you know? Maybe do you mean convertible?
yes, convertible. Yes, that's what I'm going for.
Excellent.
Swing and a miss.
Well, we'll
Wait,
see.
why did he buy a camera?
Because she'd been hearing weird stuff, and so they start talking about what the camera's for, and so she like things are moving and she's hearing weird things, so she thinks maybe there's some weird stuff, or maybe there's like a peeping Tom or something.
So this is the first thing they do is they buy a
But he
camera.
had like he had like 5 computers. I mean, I think he was.
He
like a
ran that
tech
coin
version.
sack, coin purse,
maybe
what was
he's
it
got
called?
a
he had
coin
a
purse.
shirt on. I mean, we don't know. If that's
Coin
what he
net.
did.
This guy is definitely independently. No one works for 21 days.
That's true.
No, I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
She's a
they do not
student
work.
and
No.
occasionally does beading.
Yeah, she makes homemade jewelry.
Yeah.
And no offense if that's.
I'm going to point out, if you're buying a camera that expensive, you are doing homemade porn professionally.
Homemade porn.
Homemade porn. It is homemade porn, Jen.
Oh, pardon me.
But she was a student because you pointed out that she had a For Dummy book. Which
She
was,
did.
It was supposed to be a textbook and it was a for dummy book.
Right.
It was demonology for dummies.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then Mika had been doing his research in that book too.
No, that was too advanced for him.
Oh, pardon me. He had the
Yeah,
picture.
he had like a
book.
picture.
He had the
but
coloring book for dummies.
So they're going to set this camera up, and she's not totally into the camera, I don't think, because she probably thinks he's going to try to film her in some compromising position.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I will say, ladies,
I mean, I'm not a
never
prude.
make a tape. Never make a
yeah,
tape.
I'm not a prude. I just don't want to watch myself do that.
No, I don't either, and I don't
Other
want.
people want to. Whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Never make a tape. Don't
Or
make a tape.
counterpoint to Jen's point. Make a tape,
You can
ladies.
make a single.
Don't make a tape, ladies.
Oh,
and then
This-
throw your purse.
this movie does start out like every like homemade porn.
It really
movie would
does.
start
I
out.
bought a camera and I've got a demon in my pants.
I mean, I guess you're going to go through this stuff, but they start right into it. Like
do,
it's
yeah.
not like he got the like. You even were a little confused, right? You thought
Yeah.
You thought it was like people were spying on them, or she
Well, that's what
felt
he said.
uncomfortable. Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
she thinks she's being haunted because she's been dealing with this since she was 8. But he was like, it's probably just some peeping Tom, but we'll
Yeah,
catch
yeah,
him
yeah,
with
yeah.
the camera.
But
Right.
if he's inside the house, I would also try some other things before just
Like
recording
calling
it.
the cops
Yeah.
and or getting a dog and or moving the fuck out.
And burning your
Yeah.
house down.
Like
Yeah.
her dad did
We're not-
when she was like 13 or whatever.
We're not burning this house down.
It's
No,
too
no,
nice. It's
please-
too
Have
nice.
Have you seen that floor plan?
Yeah. Did you see those hardwood floors?
There are 3 bedrooms in this house. We can't burn
Possibly a
it down.
fourth, Jen. Possibly a
and there were
fourth.
2 living rooms.
San Diego's a really big county, and it wasn't in the city. Like, this is desert San Diego. This is like cheap
Temecula.
San Diego. Yeah.
All right, so they're setting up the camera on the first night, and it is straight up is they're setting it up to directly point to their bed.
Yes, because he's a man.
I mean, you could make
Yes.
the point that he is just going along with
Let's
this
talk about
haunting
my
thing.
huge crush on Katie.
Oh yeah. Mikey's
get
got
it,
a
man.
crush on Katie.
You don't get it?
I mean, she's aight. I'd
She's
be
a
into it.
good girl next door type.
I think what you said as she was driving up in her Corvette was that she's hot but attainable. I think that's what you said.
That is true. That is what he said.
yeah.
True. But she also has really pretty eyes.
She
He
does.
does.
But she definitely has bad taste in dudes.
Oh yeah, she'll
I
date
don't know.
any idiot. That's why I think you have a chance, Mikey.
That's why she's so
What
attainable.
house is she living in? I think she got pretty good taste in something about dudes.
She's a gold digger? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, she only goes for coin purse owners.
.com bubble
mean-
before the burst.
Yeah.
She's a student. What kind of car is she driving?
A
shitty Mazda Miata. That motherfucker cost her $2,000. She bought it on
But it's a
eBay.
convertible. I just assume
What do
convertibles
you
are
think
expensive.
cars are? I'm so confused.
Just
by
because
this.
the roof can come down doesn't mean it's expensive.
I drove a convertible for like 5 years. That thing was a
wow.
piece of shit. All right, can we get past the fucking first scene?
I'm wondering what made this movie R.
I honestly don't know what made this R.
Imagery, I guess. I don't know. Baby powder.
There is a porn parody of this on Pornhub. I Googled it because
Would you call it paranormal activity?
No, there is an actual movie called Paranormal Activity, but it's just like a.
It's not a
It's
porn.
like a.
So, first night, hears noises and scene.
I mean, really, that's all that happens in the first night.
It is,
It's,
yes.
it's just the noises.
And there's like over and over and over again, we have the night scene. And whenever it was, I started recording Todd because that's when, like, just escalating things happening.
I mean,
Well, I remember the first night you were just like, I don't want to watch this.
I don't.
yeah.
Because it's creepy.
Every night scene, he said, I
you
don't
don't know
watch
what's
this.
going to happen.
It's creepy as fuck. And like you guys were talking the whole time, so it sort of helped like break the tension up because the night scenes, there's like no sound, but you're like really expecting something to happen. And that's terrifying, man.
It was
Yeah.
it was terrifying in the theater.
And this does have that thing though that like, and we make fun of this all the time on CinemaSins videos when we cover haunted house movies. And as much as I love Poltergeist, I blame Poltergeist for this. But the whole idea that the ghost like initially just fucks with you,
Yeah.
like doesn't actually like the ghost could just kill you or the demon,
Yeah,
or
or whatever it is, yeah.
But instead, it just night one, just gonna move a door.
That's why I like. That's why I,
I
like.
mean,
Right.
why would they ever
Was he
do
like
that?
building strength or something?
No, it's just it's bored.
Well, and I do think that there's a definite shift when the Ouija board comes into play where things start to amp up a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what this movie's trying to say is
Yeah.
that there, and even the Charles Grodin shows up.
Bobo Charles Grodin. yeah.
Found footage Charles Grodin shows up, and he warns them about doing a few things, which
Yeah.
of course Mika immediately
does
them.
all those
So,
things. He's like, oh, thanks for the great
Yeah,
ideas.
so he invites the demon more in.
But yeah, is the door moving in the first
the
night?
first night,
No,
I
no,
think
it's just
they
it's
hear
the
noise.
footsteps.
oh, that's
That's
not the
right.
door?
That's right.
Oh, sorry.
And then she
Apologies.
wakes up, and I don't. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there's
No,
so
it's
many
just noises.
nights.
It's just
It's hard
noises.
to remember
There's
like what
21.
has happened. 21 nights, yeah.
We don't see all the nights because some nights nothing happens.
Right.
And Micah goes to bed
Or maybe they have
disappointed.
sex all night and she has made him turn the camera off.
They definitely don't pee afterwards.
Oh my God.
They do things that are illegal in Kentucky.
Yeah.
In 20 other states.
God.
Yeah.
There's nothing illegal in Kentucky.
I was going to say.
I think the age of consent is lower in Kentucky than it should be.
Micah is white bread. There's no way they did anything remotely cool.
No, he's a missionary kind of guy.
And I will say the interesting thing is you haven't seen the sequels, right, Todd? Well,
No,
this is the first time you
this is the first time I've seen any of them.
So I will say this about the sequels, though. Not all of them are great, but they actually do make this story pretty interesting. And especially like the second one, the way the second one ties into this one is really interesting.
Dude, I agree. I think it's really clever how they made them all work together. After the first night, she wakes up. They've heard noises. She finds her keys that are on the floor. So this is the very first thing that we
threw her
see.
keys off the counter.
Yeah.
She's like, I found these on the floor. I swear I put them on the counter last night.
Yeah.
It's like Patrick Swayze in Ghost when he first learns how to manipulate space again. Yeah.
I think that's what he's doing. Maybe the
Yeah.
ghost has to go into the subway every day and figure out how to push more
I
stuff.
think even
It's like a
isn't
montage of
Mika
them pushing
already
shit off the
doing
counter.
let's not jump to conclusions, but at the same time, it's like, how do keys get off the counter? Like, I mean, something something weird happened there. I don't know that I would jump to demon, but
No, did a cat get in? Like, do we have a pet? Yeah.
Is my boyfriend who's trying to take me having sex without me wanting to do that? Is he gaslighting me? Did he throw my keys on the floor?
Wow,
Possibility.
this
It happened.
went in a very weird direction.
He's very
that
controlling.
sounded like she was just telling us a story.
I know. I was like, go on, Jen.
Welcome back to Jen's therapy
What
corner.
is it? So where the fuck are we?
Yeah, day 2.
She calls the psychic, who may or may
She
not be
called the
Charles
psychic on
Grodin.
day 2.
She did.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's like a revolving door of day, nothing happens, night, crazy
Well, and
shit
then everything
happens.
happened around the same time,
And then,
right?
and then
Right.
Mika had like real weird problem. Like he was okay with calling a psychic day 2, but like wouldn't call the demonologist.
Oh, I got the impression that he wasn't big on calling the psychic and was just kind of being nice about it.
Because
Yeah.
he thought that eventually he'd get to make a sex tape. I feel like that's why he's on board with all this,
I think
because he
you're
doesn't
right.
really take it
well,
seriously.
then I would have called a demonologist.
So I think the reason that she's already got this psychic thing lined up is
Charles
because
Grodin.
because she's been dealing with this for her whole life.
Since she was 8.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
no, yeah.
like this scene because he comes in and he starts asking them about their relationship because he's like, it feeds off negative energy.
Yeah.
Like,
I liked when he was talking about the negativity. Micah was all, we probably shouldn't let your mom come over here anymore then.
Which
I love
is
that shit.
Oh,
interesting.
he made like every generic
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a dude jerk.
douchebag
Oh, yeah.
comment.
I think that was the time where I was like, I really hope Micah dies.
The only
I hate
thing
this guy.
we kept thinking he was going to say it's that time of the month. He never did that.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
he got close. He had
Yeah.
to have gotten
All
close.
three
Yeah,
of
he
us said it a few times. Yeah.
Yes, that is true.
I am not going to go on the record saying that I said that. I'm not gonna say
We've
that.
got yeah, but so he's asking like what's going on with your relationship, and it's kind of like when you go to the doctor. Do they ask guys this question? Because every time I go to the doctor,
What
they're like,
question, Jen?
Is anybody in your house hurting you?
Do you go to a pediatrician?
No, I go to doctors. Like they do that, like when you're alone, because
I have been asked that before.
Yeah.
Not like every time, but I did actually because I remember telling my wife about it because I thought it was funny.
yeah.
I think they just assume Mikey and I are alone.
Yeah,
So they
they're
know.
And I just remember it was really hard for me not to make a joke then. But then
Oh
I
my
realized
God.
I should not make a joke.
Yeah.
I've made a joke in those
Because they'll
situations.
take me seriously, and then all of a sudden my wife
Yeah.
will be
When I-
taken away.
When I was 17, the pediatrician was like, "Hey, are you sexually active?" And I was like, "I'm trying really hard."
No, but if you-
But so she's talking about her childhood experience. But so she's talking about how when she was young, she used to share a room with her sister, and she would see a figure standing at the end of her bed, and her sister saw it, and it would just stare at her.
But not her sister, right?
Right, yeah, it would always be at her bed.
Right.
And it just kind of would go away. But then her house burned down when she was 8.
And she doesn't know why it burned
They
down.
couldn't
Just
figure
that
out
it
why.
burned down. Yeah.
They don't have
Yeah.
like a real conversation about this. There's like a sentence or two thrown out there. I would be like, let's go back and unpack this one sentence, like one moment at a time.
yeah. He just asked, like, did they ever discover the cause? And then she said a few things, like, no, I mean, they investigated it, which I don't even know how.
Yeah, this is the
an
psychic
8-year-old kid would
It's
know
backdraft.
this.
Yeah.
But like, I thought that was funny because I was just sitting there thinking, well, are you trying to ask if they like if the firemen were like, is it demons?
Was Todd
it was the
around?
Christmas
Did he
tree.
burn the house
Yeah, I
down?
mean, if that shit was happening to me and or my family, I would have burned that fucking house down too.
despite the floor plan.
Fuck the floor
And this is
plan.
the psychic asking these questions. If I was Micah, I'd have like maybe 400 follow-up questions. I'd be like, wait, what happened when you were 8?
Well, I imagine they've probably already had that conversation.
No, they haven't. And
They
he
have
brings
not.
that up. He was like, why didn't you tell me before you moved in that you had this shit going on? And she was like, well, I didn't want to tell you on the first date. And he's like, what about a 15th date? Or
Right?
the 31st date? Or any time before you moved in and ruined my life and murder me?
And I guess this is pre-Google because she totally would have been Googled. Like, I mean, you could have Googled that shit.
Yeah.
But I guess, 2009? You could
yeah,
have-
Google was around.
Yeah,
you
you
could
could've-
find coinpurse.net on Google for sure.
Yeah.
You can ask Jeeves too. But also after this, it's his fault for not leaving. Like his demise is still his fault.
He's still got a
he's
picture of
not.
him and an ex-girlfriend on the wall in
No,
his house.
that is her.
I think
Is it?
that,
Yes,
it
that
doesn't
is
look like.
1000%
not
a picture
her.
of her.
I think it is her, but I just don't think it looks
It doesn't
like her.
look like
It's
her.
like his sister.
No.
Well, I'm going to say it's his sister in my head canon.
There's
I think
dialogue
I
where
think
she
it's her with a
says,
bad perm.
look at that picture of us.
Oh, really?
Yes!
It's
it
not
wasn't-
the same face.
It is the same face. You clearly weren't looking at her face.
Ooh, her face is up here, Mikey.
Yeah, not where her boobs are boobing.
She wasn't wearing her favorite shirt in that picture. So.
Yeah, the purple shirt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That, I mean,
Everybody-
Mikey did like that shirt a lot.
What color eyes did she have, Todd?
I don't give a fuck.
Blue, because I looked at the eyes.
They're brown.
Fuck. No, they were blue. They were blue. I remember. In my mind, I was like, we would have really cute kids because I have blue eyes and she has blue eyes, so our kids would have blue eyes.
Your eyes are brown.
Yeah.
I fucking hate you guys. I have blue eyes.
So she's talking about how occasionally she'll hear somebody whispering her name.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, it could be just me talking in my sleep or whatever. Which, do you talk in your sleep?
Yeah,
No.
people talk in their sleep sometimes.
I don't. My wife does quite a
Natalie
lot.
tells me I talk in my sleep, but I'm not sure I
Really?
believe her. Yeah.
She's like, oh, you get blanket. This episode brought to you by.
You're like boobage.
This sleep is not audible.
I like workshop my catchphrases in my sleep before I bring them on the podcast. Holy shit, that's fucking funny.
Bring in that blanket.
So the demonologist is saying,
Psychic. The
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah,
demonologist-
that's right. The demonologist never
They
shows
didn't have
up.
the budget for the demonologist.
That's right. So he's saying, I deal with deceased people and like people trying to get in contact with their loved ones, and I deal with ghosts, which are people that have previously been alive.
He explains that ghosts are people who have died. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, man, this guy's a doctor.
Oh, man.
Well, but he's explaining like this seems like a demon. This is a different thing. Because
It is a different thing,
Demons
yeah.
have never been alive.
I think most of these movies are ghost movies, so I think from an audience perspective, I think they were trying to distinguish this is a demon.
Yeah. Well, and also you would want like the stakes for communicating with a ghost would be a lot different than communicating with a demon. And he specifically says if you try to communicate with this demon, like getting a Ouija board or something, they're going to interpret that as you wanting to engage more with them.
So what does this dumbass do? Go buy
Does
the
exactly
nicest
that.
Ouija board available.
It's
Yeah.
like a $400 Ouija board.
And we'll
Idiot.
get to that. But the psychic says one of the creepiest things I think in this whole movie that I keep thinking about is Miki's like, what?
Mickey? Mickey. Mickey?
Mickey is
Mickey?
definitely what we're calling him.
He should be Micah. Just call him
Should
Micah.
be. I know.
Mickey
But
is like his Pikachu name.
he said, Mickey.
Or what he calls his penis.
Just let me give you 10 minutes of Mickey.
Okay, but what he says, because Mika's like, why don't we just give it what he wants? And he said, because what he wants is Katie.
He almost was like, okay.
I know, and that freaks me out. Like, I think about that a lot.
It doesn't make you feel desired?
No, not a demon.
I
we
want you
want is to be
so
me.
much. I just want to be inside you and live there.
It's like
And control
it's like
your
Enrique Iglesias at the end of her bed. I just want to be with you.
He's really just like a big creeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
He tickles her feet a lot.
But he's like creeping up on her face and like, I can be your demon, baby.
She's
I
like,
can tickle both your feet.
yeah, it's like, I feel it right now. Do you see my hair moving? And he's like, he like moves her hair back and forth.
Ugh, yeah.
He just like brushes it out of her eyes. You look beautiful. I hear whispering, and it's always like, your feet look nice.
It's always super positive reinforcement.
Your pedicure looks great. Do you hear that demon?
All right, so this is when he actually does try to make a sex tape, and he's trying to talk her into it, and he says, no, I turned the recording off.
That's not trying to talk her into it. That's trying to like fake
trick her into it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's I mean, if you
Consent
talk your
cement.
girlfriend into it and she's like, fine, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Never do that, ladies. You don't know where that tape is going to end up.
Or
Pro
do
tip
it.
Or
from
do it.
Jen.
Yeah, no, that
do
was
it.
that
Yeah.
was full on trying to do it without
Listen,
consent.
Yeah.
The question is, do you trust your boyfriend or husband or not? If you do,
Right.
go ahead and make a tape.
If you
worry
don't,
about
just
it.
break up
No,
with them.
Yeah.
my wife
True.
would never trust me. I lose everything.
The lights on, and he's like, "Oh, it's the standby light."
Yeah.
and she's like,
no, it says record.
and she's like, still not mad that he tried to do that.
And you titled it Mickey's sex tape.
Yeah, me and Miki.
Meeky Peeky.
There it is. So now we got night 3. And this is when we see the door opening.
This
for
is
the
usually
first
where I
time.
end the relationship.
On
Right.
night 3?
Yeah.
So this is when we see the door opening just a little bit, or closing a little more, and then closing back and moving just a little bit.
I think what you mean is this is when you see the door closing a little bit, not all the way, but like a 30% of the way, and then back open.
And that's
Yeah.
when we really get Mika the investigator. too.
Yeah.
Oh,
oh yeah, yeah.
He's over there like opening and shutting it. And
and
like
talking to
talking
the
to
door.
demon.
Demon, what were you trying to do opening and
What are
shutting
you
the
telling
door?
us? What do you want from me?
It's so dumb.
Y'all, if
Detective
I
Mika.
was sleeping
Yeah.
with a girl and like
Pikachu?
I heard footsteps and door opening, I'd be like, "Oh my god, are you married?"
oh, yeah, that's a good point.
I gotta get out of here. It's a demon or a husband.
Oh my god!
And they're the same thing. Ultimately. I gotta go.
So they check the tape in the morning, and this is when we get Detective Mikachu, who is on the case.
But he is like Detective Mikachu, as you said, is on the case. So he is like slowing the footage down and showing the girlfriend, whose name I can't remember.
Katie.
Showing Katie,
blue
right?
And how the door goes back and to the left, then right into the
It's
left.
very JFK, back into the left and back into the left. And then they go upstairs and he's with the camera like kicking the door back and forth.
Yeah.
Or whatever, like taunting the demon.
And she's like, "I don't think we should do this. This is probably
Yeah,
gonna
this
make
is a
the
bad
demon
idea.
mad."
And this is
Yeah.
where like they bump heads over whether they should continue using the camera
Right.
or just leave it alone and hope it goes away, which is what Katie wants to do.
And that's what's happened before. Like
Yeah.
it's gone away.
And Dr. Grodin, who's not really Dr. Grodin, but in this movie, we're calling him Dr. Grodin for
Inspector
reasons that
Grodin.
are beyond me. So the psychic is saying, like, you don't want to encourage it.
Yeah.
So she's like, let's forget about the camera and not do this anymore. And he's like, no, but porn. And
Right.
so they're like fighting the whole rest of the movie about that.
Yeah, because
You-
he doesn't take this seriously right
Right.
now.
Well, then he says stuff like, "I want to get evidence of ghosts and stuff
And
like
I
that."
think
Yeah.
that he is kind of excited about that too. But she's like, no, this isn't new for me. I've been dealing with this for a long
Yeah,
time.
he
I
definitely
don't
is.
want to make this worse.
Yeah, this-
Well, and now we get spider time.
Cue blood curdling scream.
Yeah, this is like a wannabe jump scare. And it did
Yeah.
sort of startle me a little bit, but because you guys were talking about floor plans or some shit, it didn't bother me. Because she just screams in the bathroom.
Check out that bathroom.
that bathroom was nice.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was only a half bath, but whatever. So he runs into the half bath and gets the spider out.
All right, so the next thing we get is Detective Mikachu on the case researching with his picture coloring book of demons with boobs.
Oh,
Let's we gotta
my
set the stage.
God.
He goes, "I'm reading about this. I'm researching."
Yeah.
We're like,
Well, yeah,
"Okay."
because she talked to the psychic, and the psychic was like,
Yeah.
"We need to do this," and he's like, oh, "Whatever, I'm going to buy a picture book and draw some
I
colors."
was going to
Exactly.
say,
He has this
reading
thick
is
book.
being very nice.
He has this
Yeah.
thick book,
Right.
and he's like, "I'm researching." And he opens it up, and it looks like
very
a
loose definition of
It
reading.
looks like a coloring book.
It's
There's
like
just
the
black
Lisa
and white.
Frank version of demons.
Have you guys ever seen the D&D books that talk about the monsters
a
that you might
picture book.
encounter?
Yeah. No, that's
it
exactly
looks
what it
like
looks like.
those, but it's like those books where you're like, "Oh, a Gorgon or whatever," and you like
No.
read about it.
Now
Yeah.
you don't know how to
no, I've
pronounce
never
it.
played. I've never played D&D, but I've seen a monster manual. I know what he's talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
There's no words. It's just like pictures you can color.
No, it tells you like, what they need to roll for critical hits and stuff like that. It looked like that.
Yeah, it kinda
Not that
did.
I've ever seen one of these
No,
books.
not at
or
all.
played D&D, but it's awesome. You guys should try it.
Yeah, especially in
play D&D
costume.
with y'all.
Yeah, it's fun, dude.
We should do a spin-off podcast where we play D&D.
The D&D version. So yeah, anyway, so he's reading the D&D monster manual and he's like, "No, listen, I know all about demons
Yeah,
now
we don't
because
need to call your expert.
yeah, we don't need the demonologist. I've read half of this picture book."
Yeah, I think he's afraid that the demonologist is going to make him get rid of that camera, and then he's never going to get it.
I
back.
mean, clearly, I think it was probably they did not want to pay another actor, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't. He was adamant, man. He was
Yeah.
just like,
He's like, "We're
"Fuck
not
no."
getting a
Even when
demonologist.
he knew shit was going down,
Right.
he's like, "No,
Like, I've got this baby powder
I'm gonna
solution.
pour baby powder all over the floor."
Oh my God.
Hear me out. What if Mika can't read?
I think that there's evidence to suggest that he can't. Because when he's explaining this is later on, but when he's talking about the old person that was possessed in like the 60s.
He's just pointing at the
yeah,
pictures.
he's pointing at the pictures and he watches the video. He does not
Are you
read
talking about
anything
that,
on
like,
the screen.
GeoCities website?
It's like
He
a
went to her MySpace page.
Yeah.
He like, well, this demon's friends with Tom, but nobody else.
I did have a fun fact about why the demonologist wasn't there, and I think it was partly because like they just couldn't make it work with with the actor. So I think they had planned to have him in there. Okay, so this night she wakes up screaming, and then they hear a big noise, and they both hear it downstairs.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep track of all of this stuff because it's incrementally louder noises. And
and it's pretty much the same thing every night.
It kind of is.
Something scary happens, they do something, it cuts to morning. Like,
And I
that's
think
so many of the scenes.
And in the morning they argue and stuff. It's just
Right. And it's like effectively building tension. So I think like when we talk about it, it doesn't do it justice because it is scary to watch. It's just hard to talk about and say it was a little bit louder this time. It was a little bit louder this time.
You expect things to happen every night that are really scary. So it builds a lot of tension. It's very quiet. It does a really good job as the movie goes on where you're like panicking by the end.
Well, and you know something's going to happen.
Right.
No.
All right. Now we get the friend over and she's talking about it. And she's like, ooh, why don't you come stay over here? And so
she's terrible. I hate the friend.
she doesn't really add much. Other
No,
than just,
that is weird. I don't know why she's there.
They beaded their jewelry together, her and Katie.
Yeah. All right. So the next night they hear a noise and they hear footsteps. And they both are starting to hear these things. They're starting to get a little more pronounced too.
And they have a security system they turn on every night.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, they don't make a big production about it, but it's right by the bed.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
They make a throwaway line like, no one's breaking in because of the security system.
Yeah, they do say something like that. But she goes outside, though.
Yeah.
She does,
And
yeah.
you would assume it's set.
Maybe she sleepwalks over and turns it off. or
No,
something.
because we're seeing the camera feed because it's the same night she stands up and like just stares at him for like 2 hours and they speed up the footage and we would have seen her turn the alarm off before she went outside. So that didn't happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mika just stopped setting the alarm in the middle of this whole
I wouldn't be
experiment.
surprised if he just puts the ADT sticker in the yard but doesn't actually own a home security system.
Right. Now Mika's wandering around with his microphone saying, what do you want from me?
Oh
demon?"
my God.
He wants to talk to it.
Can you talk in English this time?
yeah.
This is America, bro. If you're going to talk to me, talk
God.
in English this time. He records him asking questions. One of the questions is, will you talk to me on a Ouija board?
Yeah. And then he hears,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when he plays it back. But so he sees that and he's like editing and you can see the little noise. So he's got a response to this. Well, the next night is when the first time we see Katie get up and stand for like a couple of hours and you just see the clock at the bottom go really, really, really fast.
And that's when she walks outside, sort of like we talked about before. And then he wakes up and goes out and like is searching for her on the house. And this really creeped me out because it's all like quick movements and you think she might pop up or you might see something else pop
because
up.
you're walking through a dark house.
Right. It's fucking terrifying.
Why wouldn't
anyway,
he turn the lights on?
I don't know because he's an idiot. Because
That's a horror movie thing.
Mikachu's an
Yeah.
idiot. Anyway, so he just goes outside and sees her sitting on the swing, and she's in sort of a weird state, not quite catatonic because she is responding,
It's
but
almost
she's
like
not.
she's still asleep. She's kind of like in a half dream state.
You can have conversations with people while they're asleep and they don't
Yes.
remember.
Let's go.
It
Let's
is
go
like
back.
that, though.
She's like on a Xanax.
Yeah, it is
Much
sort
better.
of like that. So she's like, I don't want to go inside. I don't want to go inside. Leave me alone. I just want to sit out here. And he's like, that's fine. I'll go get blankets. I'll come sit out here with you.
Yeah.
It's like the only time he's a good, decent boyfriend.
Well, there are a couple of times.
He seems pretty irritated, though, about the
No,
whole
he's
thing.
not a good boyfriend.
Well, but so he goes inside to get blankets, and then he hears a giant noise upstairs, and he goes up, and the
Yeah.
TV is on static. Really loud.
And then she pops up behind him and goes to bed.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
shit was
yeah.
terrifying.
and she just calls him bed. And see, at this point, I'd be freaking out because she's like not even paying attention. I'd be like, the TV's on. I'm leaving.
Right. He's like, no, I just want to go to bed. And you were just outside for hours by yourself.
We'd have to have a serious talk the next morning. Like, look, you need to go
So-
stay with your friend.
But
Yeah.
they had to talk the next morning, and she was like confused. And I remember, I don't know why this stood out to me, but it was just the way she reacted. She's like, "Was I responsive?"
Yeah.
Like, I was like, "Who says that?"
That probably
Like,
was
who
a
asked
line in
that
the
question?
outline
She's been
they gave
there
her.
before.
She
It's like,
Also, there's a recording she could watch of this.
And-
Can't
they
she
do.
just
They do
watch
watch
the
it.
video?
Show-
yeah, they
does
always have
show
the
her.
conversation and then they watch the recording.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's the
I think you
next
should have
thing.
watched the
Which
recording
is how you should
first.
do couples arguments. Well, that's what you think, Katie. Let's go to the tape.
John Madden's over there. Well, if you watch the tape, you'll see that you got up and stared, like circling it,
And John
stared at him for like an hour and a half, and then you walked
John Madden sounds
outside.
like Bill Cosby.
And shit got weird. Pudding pops. I can't do impressions. You guys are mean.
I would review this tape because she gets upstairs at him for 4 hours, then goes outside. I would have left at this point. This is
If
where I
you were
would've checked
Mika
out.
Mikachu,
Yeah.
I would have left too.
Well, and like you said, being told that like it doesn't matter if they leave, but why wouldn't you give that a shot?
Yeah, they're
Right.
gonna try
They
baby
don't
powder.
do that.
At 0 point do they give it a shot to go stay in a
They
hotel.
hired a psychic. You
Yeah.
saying before that you're not going to try a hotel?
Look at
What was
that
that night
floor
about
plan,
the
though.
night about the Ouija board though, where she's getting all mad at him? She's like, "Let's just go," and I thought they were actually leaving, but no, they were just like going to eat.
Let's
Yeah.
just go
Yeah.
out for dinner.
Yeah.
That'll make it better. Margaritas.
If I was Mika Mikachu, I would have said, like, listen, I'm rich. You can have this house. I'm moving to another one.
Yeah, I got coin purse. I can buy all the houses I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we should probably say we keep saying coin purse because he consistently wears a shirt that says coin net.
Is it
And he-
coin net?
It's coin net, but I think coin purse is more fun. And he clearly doesn't have a job, so we are speculating that he may own some stock in some kind of startup that's
I
about
just
to
think
burst.
he comes from money.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think his dad owns CoinNet.
True, yeah.
No, he's the kind of guy that, like, on his LinkedIn, it would say head motherfucker in charge
Mm-hmm.
at CoinNet.
So Mika's genius solution is to get a Ouija board. That is the next thing we do. Not
Which is
just
like
any
the one
Ouija
thing
board.
she told him not to do.
Exactly.
Also, not from Hasbro. This guy went on Etsy and got like, I need an oak
Yeah.
barreled.
Exactly.
If the wood didn't come from a sinking ship, I don't want it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's,
he's like,
this was made. This was forged from demon bone.
it was, yeah. I want one that's specifically going to make my house more haunted.
a really nice Ouija board.
It is.
Yeah.
And she even says that.
But the demon fucks it up.
It's fucking fireproof.
That's
not
true.
true.
No, it is.
That's demon fire.
Yeah, it's demon fire. It's
And
not real
demon fire doesn't burn?
It burns, but it burns when the demon wants it and it turns it off.
Isn't that what
Oh, that
demon
checks
proof
out.
is?
It's like a gas fireplace.
That checks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. He like busts out the Ouija board before they go to dinner. And
Right.
he's like, hey, honey, come in here. I want to play Ouija. The one thing you asked me not to do.
On date night. He's
On-
sabotaging date night
5
before
minutes
it starts.
before date night.
How do you think that date went after that?
I
Oh,
know
yeah.
how it went
Well,
'cause
then
we
when they
see
get back,
afterwards.
yeah, because she's yelling at him, and then he's still trying to get her to come look at the board.
Yeah.
While they're gone, the board starts moving around on its own and then lights on fire.
Yeah.
But then puts itself out.
It's a respectful
true. Yeah. It is.
board. Anyway, so they come back. They're arguing post dinner, I guess.
About it because she's like, you're not taking me seriously. She's legitimately mad. And
yeah, I think she has every right to be mad.
so
She's
too.
like, God, I'm going to murder you.
Well, and then the only thing he does, he comes in and sees the board is scarred.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And he's like, Katie, come look at the board. It's scarred.
Right.
And she's like, the fuck? Yeah, I will. You know, and
Yeah, you're
Exactly.
sleeping out
mad.
there tonight.
And then he's like, okay, well, can we just film sex instead?
She's like, I'm
doesn't-
sleeping in the swing.
Is that
It
what she
looks
said?
like she's got like clothes thrown on the bed, and I thought for a second like she was packing her shit to go, but no, she kicks him out of the room.
I think that was probably she was trying to figure out what she was wearing for date night.
probably.
Because that's what our bed looks like on my wife's side every night after we get back.
You got to see what feels
Yeah.
right, you know.
And she hears the demon whisper, the black one. You have a summer complexion. Wear the black dress.
Do you think the demon made her murder Mika Mikachu so it could be with her?
Yeah.
I just want to be with you.
That's exactly what I think happened. He
You
punches
sh-
Mika's face in the picture
Yeah.
and tears it.
You should murder
she get-
Mika, baby.
Well, he doesn't. I think that even possesses her, though. I mean, it's not like he makes her. I mean, he's
That's
in
true.
her. I mean, he actually.
That's
enters-
the ultimate goal of relationship.
To get in there.
Oh, he got in there.
He got
baby.
all up
He
in
got
there.
all up in that.
Turn them against their exes.
This dude knows what I'm talking about.
You all know what's up. I go over to a girl's house and I see a picture of her ex. And I just punch the frame
And then lose your keys for 5 hours.
and then tickle her feet.
And it works like a charm every time.
God
That
damn
is
it, I missed
creepy.
you.
So, did we determine that all this stuff happened at the same time?
What do you mean?
Well, you guys kept talking about Dick O'Clock, so that made me pay more attention to Dick
Oh,
O'Clock.
Oh, yeah. All of it happened between like
It was
3
like
and 4.
3:15.
Yeah.
I got a fun fact. Most of the activities happen between 2 o'clock in the morning and 3:30.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 3:15 is about the most consistent Dick O'Clock time.
But Don,
in this
it's
movie.
always tick o'clock somewhere.
That's true.
Time
Even-
zones being what they are. Yeah.
Once you guys brought that up, I was just started. For some reason, that made me start paying more attention to the clock. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is actually like not the Dick O'Clock thing.
Guys, if you're out there, I need just if you're listening to this with your spouse or what. Actually, no. I just need you to go on a date with somebody and then look at him and be like, "Yo, lady, it's Dick O'Clock somewhere."
And it couldn't hurt.
Even a stop clock is Dick O'Clock
It
twice a
could
day.
actually.
Yeah. All right. So now Detective Mikachu is investigating the Ouija board.
But yeah, so he's written out on a piece of paper like the word he thinks it's spelled out or the letters combination he thinks it could be.
Does anything ever come from this, or is it
No.
just, it's just dropped?
No.
No, they dropped this like almost immediately after it happens.
Yeah, and so that's what I think is great about the sequels is I think they pick up these kinds of
retcon
things.
everything.
Yeah, but they do it in a really clever way, I think.
yeah.
And now it's powder time.
So
And I
then
love this because they have reached a compromise because she's been pissed at him this whole time.
Yeah.
The aftermath of date night.
Well,
gone
and at
bad.
first
Yeah.
too,
Date night
because
gate.
Mika's been reading his picture books, so I assumed he was putting salt down. Because like in every,
no.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. He
Yeah.
wasn't, but I assumed I was like, oh, maybe he's putting salt down. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But no, he's just putting baby powder down because he wants to see footprints.
That
Yeah.
would make a lot more sense.
Yeah, put salt like at every doorway.
But how funny would it have been if you would heard like the footsteps and then it slip and fall and then fall down the steps? That shit would have been
And you
hilarious.
just hear like a God damn it!
Now,
Who uses baby powder?
no, if I was the demon, it would be like just like an addition of a ball sack. Because it'd be like, I got
You
chafed from
would've
jogging.
teabagged
I got chafed from jogging earlier on the demon track, and I'm like, slick. So I don't have a
I
noise.
thought you were doing it just because the demon would think it was funny.
No. The demon's chafed, so it's just like patting its balls and
And
thighs.
he would wake up in the morning and be like, "Oh, I think it's trying to tell us something. It looks like a Roman helmet."
Mika's like drawing what he thinks it is. He's just drawing ball sacks. He's like,
It does look like
it's
a
like
dick
the
on that Ouija
lunchbox
board.
of dick drawings and
He's in
Superbad.
his coloring book, just flipping pages. He's like, "Holy shit! It teabagged the baby powder."
And I love this because they've come to a compromise and she makes him stand in front of the camera and say, I solemnly swear to respect by Katie's rules.
Right.
Which I
But let's
like.
go back because the whole plan is batshit insane from the because she's like,
It is.
he's like, "I've got an idea," and she's like, "Why don't we call the demonologist? That'll help. He'll know
Yeah.
what to do."
Because all of your
No.
other ideas have been terrible.
I'm gonna figure it out by putting baby powder on the floor.
What is he going to figure out? How many toes it has?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Three.
This whole thing is real dumb. Like, why not call the demonologist anyway while
Yeah.
you're doing the powder thing?
Is he-
You could try this while you wait on the demonologist.
Exactly.
The logistics of it just don't make any sense.
It's dumb.
Okay, so he puts the powder down, and so the deal is if this powder thing doesn't work, but they never defined what works means, then they're going to call the demonologist the next
That's
day.
what I'm saying. I don't know what he's trying to prove with
His
the powder.
plan is insane.
They know
Right.
that the demon's been in the bedroom.
Exactly. The demon lit the Ouija board on fire.
They didn't see that. Did
But
they see
how
that?
else would
No, they did
'cause
see that in
do
the
see
video,
it,
yeah.
When he's a pruder films it.
Yeah, there
like,
was a camera right there. That's how.
Oh,
we
that's
saw
right,
it.
that's
That's how we saw it, Mikey.
I had to think about that too when I was watching the movie.
right. Yeah, so I mean, there's no way of doubting that something fucked up is happening.
No, and then I mean that night we hear the footsteps, and then they wake up and they see the three-toed footsteps.
Speaking of that camera moment, though, this movie does do a reasonable job of explaining why the camera stays on. A lot of these movies, you're trying to figure out, like, why wouldn't you drop that camera and get the fuck out of there? But
Yeah.
this movie, it made a little more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lots of times it's on a tripod too. All right, so they wake up in the middle of the night and they see these three-toed footprints just standing right next to their bed, and this is when they realize that the demon has walked in and see. So I guess it worked.
I mean, it worked in the sense that we now see footprints, but it doesn't give us any new information.
No,
Like,
it
we
doesn't.
knew that there was a demon in the house.
And then
Right.
Katie in the morning is like, "This was dumb. I just realized this whole plan was dumb, and like
Yeah.
it just wanted us to see scary footprints."
Yeah,
Right.
fuck you. I'm calling a demonologist. Fuck you.
But they go and they see where it's come from, so they go
Oh,
back
yeah.
into the closet.
That's right.
And they see one of the scariest things you can ever see in your house is your attic door just kind of askew.
So then I'm thinking, oh, maybe I don't have a demon. Maybe there's just a hobo.
Three-legged.
A three-toed hobo?
Yeah, he's got diabetes and two toes.
There's
are
just like
falling
a
off.
big sloth in your house, like living in your attic.
But so now the super expensive ladder appears from Costco, and
Yeah.
so they climb up in this thing, and he sees something off in the distance, and he crawls over and he kind of brings it down, and it's a picture of her when she's a little girl, but
Burnt.
it's burned on the
Yeah.
edges,
Like it was
yeah.
in the fire.
Yeah.
Exactly, and she's like, "There's no way this could exist."
Yeah.
So then they call the demonologist the next day.
But he's
Or do they?
Or do
because he's
they?
not available.
he's
Yeah.
out of the country. So then they decide to call the psychic again.
Yes, they do call the psychic again. All right, so the next night there's lots more banging, and it's starting to get more.
Finally finally making that sex tape.
I apologize, listeners. I did not mean to set that up, but it is what it is.
I didn't mean to go fishing for that, but I'm glad I caught it. Yeah, there's no banging. Like past night 3, there's definitely no sex.
Micah acts like a dick the whole film. He does not deserve the bang.
No, I agree.
The kind of banging I'm talking about is like banging on the walls. And
Yes, there's a lot of that.
Lots of banging stuff.
Oh, is this when Micah like runs in the bedroom like a dumbass? He's like, I'm gonna go see what it is.
Yeah, he's like, nobody coming into my house and telling my girlfriend and messing around and
This is
banging
like when
on
you
my
expect him to
walls.
bring, like, pull a gun out and start shooting wildly into the air in
Right.
his own house. Just him putting bullet holes in his own house.
All right, so now we have Katie on the couch, and she's kind of starting to lose it a little bit. She's starting to get depressed, and she doesn't have a job to go to or anything, so she can just lay around and be sad about ghosts, demons, and stuff.
Wait, no, she's a student.
Yeah,
She
she's a
is a
student.
student.
What
I
is she
know.
studying? Did it ever say?
She's studying
Demons.
something for
Making.
dummies.
Yeah, demons for dummies.
Now the psychic is back, and this is
My favorite scene in the movie.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah, this shit's
amazing.
great.
And I love it. Yeah, he walks in. He's like, "Oh, I immediately can feel the presence. It's getting a lot worse. It doesn't want me here. It's mad. I need to leave right now."
Yeah, he's like literally, fuck this shit, I'm out.
Yeah.
Oh,
walked
and
into
then
the
he
entryway.
told them leaving wouldn't matter.
Yeah, leaving isn't going to help you. And he doesn't say, "You're fucked, I'm out." He says, "I'm going to contact some people. Let me see what I can do, but I have to leave."
But like you said, why couldn't they go talk in the front yard?
Exactly. He just doesn't want to be in the house.
I really think he doesn't want to be around her because the demon is attached to her.
That's true. And
Yeah.
so even if they went outside, but still, I mean, that does seem like an easy solution if he needs to get out of the room.
Yeah, but it's 5 minutes of him being like,
yeah.
ooh, this is bad for y'all.
I'll totally help you. I'm totally going to help you.
but I gotta
go.
go.
I gotta go.
to go.
But I'll help you.
I'll bill you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I gotta go. And he leaves. He bones out.
Oh yeah,
he
runs.
says, "I'm doing more harm than good right now.
Yeah.
I'm not helping this." Now, Detective Pikachu is on the case.
Again.
Detective Mikachu is on the case, and he's gone to what, GeoCities or something?
Yeah.
He's
That's what it
asked-
looked like.
He's looking for any website with pictures back in 2007.
The spinning words that
Yeah.
are on fire. It's like, this is your demon.
Angelfire.com/demon possession.
Did you have a GeoCities website?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I totally did.
Yeah. But he's showing her about this woman that was possessed with the same thing in like the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started
Yeah.
when she was like around 8 and the house burned down.
Yep.
Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah.
And is she okay? She's doing great now,
he's like,
right? And then she goes,
So about that.
"How did she die?"
And then he plays the video of her death.
Yeah.
Because he can't read the actual information about her death to her.
Yes.
Mika never learned
That
to read
scene
it.
was confusing though for some
Yeah, it
reason.
was.
I
It was.
don't. But like, I couldn't even really see like what they were looking at.
I know.
want you to see.
Because it was
Yeah.
fucking GeoCities.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, they talked to an actual expert on this, but Mikachu still
I
thinks
think they
he
said
is the
that
expert.
an exorcism was done on her and she died during it.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have pictures of like exorcist face girl. And she's like, "Oh, she was so pretty."
He
And
thought it
Mikachu was
a
like,
good idea.
"Yeah, she was."
He thought it was a good idea to show her this shit.
He's
Like-
the worst
He is an
boyfriend
idiot.
ever.
Hey, yeah, imagine
And then
that.
she goes, she's really pretty. He's like, yeah, she is.
Yeah. Imagine that though, like you're like being possessed, your loved one is trying to help you with it, and they show you, hey, I found this website containing this information about the same exact possession that you have, and you're like, well, what happened? Oh, they died.
Right.
But don't focus on that
But
part
you're
so
not gonna
much.
die.
Focus on how hot they were before they died. Mika is the worst.
Still, and they're fighting again.
Imagine that.
No, that's the next thing that happens. I don't know why they're fighting. I think just because she's really stressed out. And she's like, nothing you do is helping. Everything you do makes things worse.
Yeah,
You
and
need to
she's
take this
right.
seriously. She is right. Yeah.
He
It's
is definitely poking the
Has
demon
she already
bear.
been like pulled out of bed?
No, that's the next thing that happens. So they go to bed this night, and this is one of the scariest nights for me, I think. So she,
Is this not the final night?
No.
No.
Because
Oh, wow.
he tickles her feet repeatedly.
Yeah, we're
And
still
we-
talking about
That's
this movie.
after that?
Yeah.
we skipped that
Oh,
part.
okay.
That happened right after the psychic came back.
listeners, the demon repeatedly takes her foot out of the sheet
To
gingerly.
caress the foot.
And then like tickles it a little bit.
Yeah. And they
And
see
breathes
that.
on it.
And then we see a shadow standing in the door, too. And she
Yes.
wakes up and she says, "I hear it breathing." Okay, so the next night, though, he uncovers her feet. They've made up. The demon kind of gets under the sheet and then jerks her out of bed.
And drags her down the hallway.
hall.
Yeah.
And this is scary. And she's just screaming.
It is
It is
very
really
scary.
scary.
'Cause
And then Mika goes and chases her down the hall and like fights the demon off or something. We don't see any of this.
I don't think he fights him
I think
off.
he just grabs her.
grabs her and
Yeah.
pulls
and
her
then the
back.
demon
but
lets
yeah.
go because I guess the demon. We see later that the demon bites her.
Oh, that's
like,
right.
on
And then
her
they just go
back.
like have the powwow by the bed.
Yeah,
It's just-
okay.
Yeah.
They run 5 feet away from where this exact spot she got dragged away from, and she's crying, and they feel like they're safe now or something.
There's
like
just
you
no way a
leave the
couple
house.
wouldn't leave the house.
Right.
Or call the police.
A demon just dragged you out of bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call the cop. I don't care how crazy I sounded.
Yeah.
I'd be like, there's some shit
Lock
going
me
down.
up, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so it's the next morning now, and they have finally decided to go to a hotel. And so they're making their plan.
I guess I missed that.
Yeah, me
Did they
too.
really?
Yeah, they have. So they are making plans to go to a hotel, but Katie is just kind of laying on the couch. I think Mika is like going to make arrangements.
You get in the car and you drive to a
Oh
hotel.
yeah,
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm gonna get a hotel," and she like turns to him and she's like, "Just stay with me. Stay in the house."
Well, she doesn't do that yet. She's like, yeah, I'm just going to lay down. We're going to go. And then he
Yeah.
finds her like on the floor holding this cross in her hand so tightly that her hands are
Yeah,
bleeding.
That's right.
That's right.
And so then he picks her up and puts her on the couch or puts her in bed. And this is when she says, he's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah,
We're going
let's get
to
the
a
fuck outta
hotel.
here. Yeah.
She's like, no, I just don't think it's going to make anything better. I don't want us to go. I want you to stay with me. It's kind of this weird baby talk thing. And so he says, okay, I guess we'll stay.
Yeah, they fought about every possible thing in the world at this point in this movie, and he just like, okay, yeah, I'll do that for you. No way. I would have walked out of that house. I've been like, you get in the car, or you stay here and you get demons.
I would have left
Yeah.
the very first night. I'd have been like, you own this house now. I'm flying to a different location.
Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, as soon as she said like, I've been haunted since I was 8 years old, I've been like,
Well,
hide
you're
her
about to
keys
get
for 5
ghosted by me. Nailed it.
This is when Mika does burn the picture and the cross in the fireplace.
Yes.
And then he goes upstairs, tries to get her to leave. She says she doesn't want to. And then he decides to stay. And then we see her little evil smile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so now it's the last night. It
Thank
doesn't
God.
say it's the last night. It's like night 21, I think.
Right.
Okay. So we see her wake up and she walks around and then
And
she
stands above him
Yeah,
for like
pulls her
3 hours.
covers
again.
off.
no, the demon pulls the covers
Yeah.
off.
That's right. And
And he doesn't wake up.
I would have totally woken up.
Yes, I would have too.
I mean, if it's just a sheet,
I
though.
wake up when I kick my own sheets off. And I'm
Me
like,
too.
Why did I do this?
Yeah.
All right, so she just stands over him until Dick o'clock, and we see the clock scrolling really fast, and she's kind of just standing over him. And then she walks downstairs and starts screaming really loud, and he wakes
The
up and
scariest
chases
scream
her.
I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
like,
it's
it
like-
is
'cause it's
so
a
scary.
shriek.
Yes.
It's a scary.
It's loud, it's consistently sustained, and it's just like so creepy.
Right.
And he does what I think a good boyfriend would do and gets up and runs downstairs.
Right, and then he's screaming, and they're screaming together. And I imagine that the first time I watched this, I thought it was another scene like that when she got dragged down the hall.
Yeah.
and so then we don't hear anything and it's kind of a long shot of
It is.
nothing. It's very suspenseful, and then we start hearing really heavy footsteps
stomps.
coming up the stairs. Yeah, and
So
I
is
am.
she carrying him up the stairs?
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's why it's so loud. Because the next thing
Yeah.
we see is his body just being thrown against the camera.
Which is what we wanted to do since the beginning.
That's true. And then she's got blood all
Yeah,
over her.
she's real bloody. Like she has stabbed him to death.
Right, exactly. And if you remember a knife from the very beginning that he's waving around,
Yeah.
that's the knife that she stabs him with.
Oh, really?
So she gets kind of down on her knees and she is smelling the body, and then she gets really close to the camera, and then demon face, and then out.
Yeah.
And that's the movie.
Pretty cool ending.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
It was fucking terrifying,
the
man.
ending scared the shit out of me the first
Yeah.
time I watched it.
Oh yeah, this movie was very, very scary the first time.
Well, and that's the movie.
And that's the movie.
So let's do final thoughts real quick because I hated this movie. I think it holds up pretty well because it's not a movie that relies heavily on special effects. It heavily relies on just being creepy, and I think it's very, very creepy. If it hadn't been for you guys talking the whole time, I would have lost my shit.
I don't get
literally.
to see Jonathan a lot.
No, hey, I'm not blaming. I loved it. I would never watch this movie again. I don't want to watch any of the sequels. It was pretty rough.
I don't think I've watched this since it came out in theaters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't hold up as well as the second or third
But
time.
you know
I
what's
don't
coming.
think. Yeah, you know what's coming. I mean, we kind of ruined it for you, but without a good watching environment, it's not as scary.
I
And
think
it
so,
still was
too.
intense at the end. I still got a little scared. So, I mean, I'll probably say it's pretty scary, but like, I still think it's probably a classic, I would say. I really like it.
I think it's definitely kind of a landmark, or it's like a big one in the genre. I really like it, and I love found footage, and I think this is a really well done found footage one. Now, I will say it is scary, but not a lot happens. Like the majority of this movie is building tension.
Very true.
And so once you see the second and the third ones, and I think I knew this wasn't real, but I think when you first see it, it's kind of like the Blair Witch. You can kind of convince yourself maybe it's real, and I think that gives the story a little more power. But after after that, like with the second one, I think they just went for it. And the second one has a lot more scary jumps and it's a lot more shit that the demon is doing, and especially with the third one. And so after I've seen the second and the third one, I think this one just looks weaker or a little more toothless.
Because with a
you know?
budget, they do a lot more.
Exactly. Now, I do still really enjoy it because I was working on something and I just watched all three of them back to back. And I think it really escalates a lot more in the scariness of the second and third ones. But I still do really like this one a lot.
It's very solid. It is definitely a landmark because as big of a deal as people make about Blair Witch, this was 10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, as big of a hit as Blair Witch was, it did not bring in like this slew of found footage movies. There'd be one here and there.
Now, do you think it's because this came out in the age of like digital?
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible.
And Blair Witch was still back then.
Much like Blair Witch, it was all about the marketing. And I think Jason Blum has a lot to do. Oh, I don't know if it's specifically him, but Blumhouse, I think, has a lot to do with that because they bought this and then they just marketed the hell out of it. I mean, this created them. I mean, this is why
it does. This was Blum before Blumhouse.
Yeah. So,
and I have a fun fact that he had originally passed on the Blair Witch Project. So he was not going to make that mistake again. So he helped get this developed a lot.
Paranormal Activity really got kind of like not only found footage movies going, but I think the independent horror scene, or not independent, but
tinier
smaller budgeted, smaller budgeted horror scene.
And horror's kind of been like that since then.
Yeah,
it has, and a lot of it's because of Blumhouse.
Yeah, because I don't think you're getting stuff like Insidious if you don't have Paranormal Activity. That's my guess.
Yes.
Let's talk box office.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this during the movie, but the production budget of this is $15,000, which is nothing. Do you guys know how much it
was over $100 million,
I think
right?
it made 150, 160 million.
It was a lot.
Domestic was 107 million, which is fucking insane growth, but return on investment. But foreign, it was 85 million, so it almost did $200 million worldwide, which is insane for a $15,000 budget.
Good for them.
Yeah, I mean,
I know.
legit, that's a huge return on investment.
I mean, yeah, it's one of the most. I mean, that's got to be one of the most profitable independent films.
Profitable, I definitely think you're on there. Yeah.
Well, and the budget was so small because they filmed this in 7 days. And they were editing it and filming it at the same time. So they made it really quickly. The house they use is the director's house.
Oh, yeah?
So they didn't, and it's a single location. Like
So you obviously
it is, yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't have to. So they didn't have to pay anything for the location, and the actors I heard got $500 each because this was a teeny movie, and they didn't think it was really going to do anything. And I think they've negotiated more now because it was so successful. But like, there aren't hardly any other characters. You know, there's not that much to spend money on.
There are 4 characters. There's the 2 main characters. There's the psychic, and then there's her meth friend.
Because the camera was on tripod so much, they didn't have to have a camera crew either.
Right.
Also, one of my fun facts is that Mika was the actor that played him, also named Mika, was a former cameraman for his old college TV news station, so he could do a lot of that other stuff too.
That would explain why he wasn't a great actor.
And they still hired him too. But they auditioned like 400 people for this.
What?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
Well,
Are we just doing fun facts? Is this
this is fun facts.
Okay, cool.
It's fun facts.
Now with more fun.
So talking about the production of this, when Paramount is the one that ended up buying it, Jason Blum saw it and kind of helped it get re-edited and packaged. He's a
producer for it. So he was on the project for sure.
So he saw it and saw that there was something here, and he'd already passed on Blair Witch Project, like we already said. So he kind of helped, and he helped write some of the different endings and make it what it is. And so when Paramount bought it, they were originally going to reshoot it and make it like more of a studio movie. They were going to lose the found footage thing.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they did a test screening of it, and people started walking out. And so they were like, okay, well, screw this. We're just going to use this as a special feature on the DVD, and we're just going to make like more of a studio movie. And then they were talking to the people that were walking out, and they were saying, we're walking out because we're too scared to finish this movie.
Yeah.
And so that's when they decided to stick with what they had.
That.
Yeah. So just like in Blair Witch Project, there was no script for this movie, and it's something called retro scripting, which is where they give them bullet points of what the scene is supposed to do. Like in Blair Witch Project, I think they would give them little film canister things, and it'd have like, your character gets lost today or something. And then they go back and they kind of write the script based on what the actors pulled out of it. Like, I'm imagining Katie, you're mad at him because he won't put the fucking camera down, or he keeps trying to make a sex tape with you. But the actor, it was a lot more ad lib.
I know that the League, the FX TV show, The League, this is how they shot all their whole show.
Really?
It was all bullet
I
points.
actually didn't. That's impressive.
Yeah, because all of those guys are UCB guys.
Yeah.
So they're all like expert improv people. So they just were like, here's the bullet points you need to hit. And then they would just shoot for 3 hours and
then just edit
it down to a 7-minute scene.
Tot it up. We've talked about the different endings, and there were 2 different endings of this movie. So one of them is that Katie, when she looks the camera in the face and she has the demon face, she originally was going to cut her throat with a knife.
Ooh, I'm out.
Right. And so that was one end. Another ending was that the friend comes and finds Mika's dead body and finds Katie just sitting on the bed, and she's been there for a couple of days. And so the friend leaves and calls the police, and the police show up to investigate and end up shooting Katie.
Okay.
So that's another ending of the film. So there was an unfilmed ending that was the original scripted ending of this.
Is that the sex tape?
No, but I think you guys are going to be happy with this.
All right.
So the ending of it was Katie beating Mika to death with his camera. And they were going to film that, but it was going to be too complicated to do, so they just didn't shoot it.
I think that works better thematically.
Well, yeah, I think that was the reason why they wrote that, but they were just like, well, we're going to destroy this camera.
And then you could also say that she wasn't really possessed by the demon. She was just fed up with Mika.
She just didn't want that camera in her face.
It's not like they could afford to like create a dummy or whatever they needed to do it. So yeah,
I understand why they didn't do it. Yeah. And also they're like, it would have been really brutal, because you would see parts of that. Like I imagine watching that because it would have been the camera that we are looking through, just beating someone to death.
She probably would have turned it around and used the back of it because you couldn't really hit someone with a lens and do any damage. So you probably would have been seeing the actual aggressor and not the person getting beat to death, which I think could have been easier to film and creepier because you're seeing her lose her mind all over his face.
Swing, blood spatters more on her.
Yeah.
We should have made this film.
So you could do that for cheaply, but then you have to reveal that he's dead, and you would sort of need a dummy for that or something.
Yeah. Then I think what they did was really effective.
Me too. This was real effective.
Yeah, I think of everything, I like this ending the best. Narratively, I like the camera thing, but like this works the best.
Without seeing them all, I couldn't tell you which one I like better because I would hate them all. But
Okay, so my last fun fact also includes a little bit of Jen dating stories. So this movie, part of why it was so successful was
because you took a date to it.
I did take a date to it. It was
Did you pay or did he pay?
He paid.
By myself.
Yeah, don't get it away for free, Jen.
Because newly divorced Jen saw this just getting back out in the dating field, and we were supposed to go see what was that, Where the Wild Things Are, because they were out at the same time. And I just replanned the entire date to go see this, and that's when I thought maybe I might have a little bit of control issues, and that date did not
Where the
turn out
Wild
very
Things
well.
Are would have been a terrible first date movie, though.
Well, okay, so one of the reasons this was very successful too is because they used a viral marketing strategy for this, and they premiered it after it had done the festival thing. They premiered it in 12 college towns just for little kind of weekends, and then they had this app called Eventful. I don't know if you guys remember this.
I think it's still around. Actually,
It might be. I don't know. But so they were like, demand this in your town, and the town, whoever gets to 1 million demands first will get this to premiere in your town too. And so that kind of got it. That's the first time I heard about this movie, And so Jen had also been dating another guy who had kind of
damn.
I know. Well, we were falling out because I was like 28, and I think he was still in college, and so he
Nice.
And so it wasn't like we were kind of past the point of we're still talking, and so I sent him this little Eventful thing as a kind of getting back in touch phishing email. It did not work.
That's interesting though, but like, because Blair Witch, I don't know how old you guys were when Blair Witch came out.
I was in high school. I took a date to it.
Do you
talk to me again.
But like the year before though, like 98 was when the tapes were circulating. Do you guys okay?
The website.
That's how I saw it.
Me too.
Actually, Chris Atkinson, CinemaSins, he was working at a theater at the time, and somebody gave him a tape of it, and then we went to a friend of ours' apartment, like 10, 12, 15 of us, and like watched it in the dark. And at that time, while like, I mean, we're not stupid. So, I mean, we don't really think it's real, but at the same time, like they hadn't started, because it hadn't come out in the theaters yet. It wasn't even close to coming out in the theaters.
This is before high-speed internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't really know what this is.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
Which was
if you grew up in
amazing way to watch it.
Tennessee, you have grown up with the legend
Yeah,
of
the
the
Blair
Bell
Witch.
Witch.
Or Bell Witch. Bell Witch,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
sorry.
so I was like,
The
well,
Blair Witch.
The Bell Witch exists. The Blair Witch might too. Yeah. All right. And those are my fun facts. Yay,
Awesome.
fun
So scary scale, right?
facts. Yep. Scary scale. Hey, listeners, our scary scale is a scale we use to measure how scared we were when we watched this movie today. It's not a ranking of the quality of the film. It's how scared we were when we watched it. Our 1 example is Ghostbusters. Our 10 example is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Todd, what you got today?
I would give us a 5. Although I do think I would have given it a much, much higher score if you two weren't talking through the whole thing about floor plans and like feng shui and like plants and who's watering them. But I mean, it was still very scary. It
Don't
was
forget
just
the 20-minute conversation. We're like, who wears boxer shorts?
Right,
yeah, like
exactly.
do women wear boxer shorts
I
this
think
much?
she's losing weight. How long did they film this?
Oh
How
yeah,
quickly
Mikey
can
was
girls lose
convinced
weight?
she lost like 40 pounds over the filming of this movie.
40. I'm just saying, I like her.
You're
got
allowed to
blue
like her,
eyes,
yeah, and
yeah.
she's accessible.
She allegedly has blue eyes.
So yeah, 5. I would give it a 5. But I
Okay.
understand like that's a real. I was expecting to give us much higher, and it would have been had I watched it by myself or with like people not talking.
I apologize.
No, I thank you. You
Yeah,
did me a huge favor.
You
Yeah.
saved time.
I'm going to give it a 4.
A 4? Okay.
I just feel like it's probably the third time I've seen it, maybe second, third. It still holds tension, but it's just way not as much as the first time.
What would
see
you
it.
have given it in 2009, do you think?
When I first saw it, it was like a 9 or 10.
Yeah, I get that.
I'd be like 8.
Yeah,
or
I think
7
that's
or
what I
8.
give it for the first time.
What would you give it now, though?
I think 5's good. I wasn't like just full on like terrified, but it's creepy.
Yes.
And just like demons are one of those things where you don't have to do much, and I'm just like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's your
like
thing?
I'm not a religious person really, but like that creeps me out.
Me
for some
too,
reason.
and I'm not religious at all.
Yeah.
I just felt safer.
That's
sitting
why The
next to you.
Exorcist scares the hell out of me
Yeah,
because
because
it's something about the religious aspects to it, and
Well, the only motivation for a demon is to fuck with you and then possess you. You know, it's not like you can try to understand
and
the
it's
demon.
like
you
reason
know?
with it.
and
Exactly.
it's hardcore too. Like
Yeah.
it gets like your skin boils, and it's like it's
Like, it's-
jabbing crucifixes in you.
Right. Yeah. Demon possession and found footage are two of my favorite subgenres. And that's one of the reasons I love this movie so much. And haunted houses too.
So what would you give it?
I think I'm going to give it a 4. As
Okay.
much as I really like it, I think I like it a lot more than I think it's scary, you know, because especially after seeing the second and third ones, it just kind of loses its impact a little bit. The first time I saw it, I probably would have given it an 8. And I do think it's still effective. But yeah, 4.
All right, cool.
That.
So this week you guys made me watch Paranormal Activity. Mikey, what are you making me watch next week?
Yeah.
I've selected a movie kind of like House 2.
Nice. I loved House 2.
It's gonna be an ode to my grandmother because I made my grandmother watch this movie and she recently passed. So I thought I'd make you guys.
Did
watch
she
it.
like it?
Like we liked House 2.
Awesome. I mean, yeah.
she enjoys
had-
watching it with you.
She had neck surgery and like was stuck at home and like I came and stayed with
And
her.
she literally couldn't look away.
right.
Nice.
And like we went to the video store and I rented like all of these like terrible movies and stuff that I love. And like this is the one that she's never forgotten. She never forgot it. She would like tell this story like my whole life. But it's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah.
I actually have never seen it.
Not the second one with George Clooney as his first one.
We
That
can't
the
watch
cartoon's based off
Clooney?
of. The 1978 Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
So we're going to watch the 1978 version of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yes.
That's really interesting too, because 78's a big horror year because you got Halloween, you got Dawn of the Dead, you got Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and all kinds of
interesting.
But you're
Awesome.
doing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, on the other side.
Yeah.
It's got a theme song. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
That was from the cartoon.
Oh,
or was
nice.
it? Is it from this too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I remember the
excited.
cartoon.
Oh my god, they did make a cartoon.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait. All right,
I'm
cool. So
excited.
watch the 1978 version of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah, and we're probably going to have a watch party in the Facebook group, too.
I'm sure we will, thanks to Amy.
So if you ever can't locate a movie, check in on that and see if there's going to be a watch party.
I just joined the Facebook in general because it's awesome. The Facebook
It is
group
awesome.
in general because it's awesome. So in honor of the 5-star reviews you guys have been leaving, we're going to read another one from Castbox this time.
Oh, yay.
I'm ready.
If you leave us a review that is not on iTunes, we can't see it. So take a screenshot of it. Take a screenshot of the actual text of it, too, so we can read it.
This is from Terry, and she's in the Facebook group. She talks in the Facebook group all the time.
Hey, Terry.
Yeah, I know.
It's on
Terry.
the app Castbox.
Castbox. Okay. So Terry says, this has become my favorite podcast.
Nice.
I've been listening since it started, and it only gets better.
Oh, thanks.
The chemistry between them is amazing, and they're all hilarious and very responsive to their listeners.
Yeah.
Thanks for the laughs. I give this podcast 5 stars if Cashbox actually had a rating system.
It's a little shade on Castbox, but we appreciate the 5 stars.
Yeah, we do. And we
Hey.
appreciate your 5 stars, even though on Castbox, apparently that doesn't mean anything. Thank you very much, Terry, for that awesome review. We appreciate it. And thanks for being an active member of the Facebook community. We love, why did I say it like that? We love you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Of the community.
So, guys, if you want to hang out with us and Terry and everyone else in the Facebook group, join the Facebook group. Also, if you want to follow us on social media, we are at Horror Virgin on
Yes, we are.
everywhere you're going to find us. Find us there. Our website is horrorvirgin.com, right? patreon.com/horrorvirgin. Yeah, all that stuff. You know how to find us. You guys know the deal. Jen is at Jen Ferratu on the socials. Mikey, in trying to keep his privacy private, is M Randolph 24. You can guess what the M stands for on all the socials. And I am Todd J.
It sounds for Mika.
Detective Mikachu Randolph 24. I am at Todd J. Awesome on all the social platforms. And Jonathan, do you want to plug your social stuff and your upcoming projects?
Yeah, sure. I, for those who don't know out there, I write for Cinema Sins and the other Sins channels. So half of you will like that, half of you will hate me, but that's cool. But yeah, check us out. We've got Cinema Sins, TV Sins, music video Sins. We're dropping new videos every week. We have a podcast called The Sincast, drops every Monday. The one cool thing as far as projects that we're doing, May is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
And if any of you follow us, any of the Sins people on Twitter, we talk about mental health awareness and mental health and all that
it's
kind
real
of stuff
important,
all the time.
honestly.
Yeah, it is. And for Mental Health Awareness Month, we partnered up with MHA and we created a couple new CinemaSins shirts. So if you go to the website,
Awesome.
if you go to
that's very
cinemasins.com, there's a couple shirts. I think they're $15 each, and all of that goes to mental health awareness.
That's awesome.
That's great.
So and you get a shirt.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want a shirt?
You get to rep the
Exactly.
brand and support a great cause. That's awesome.
That is a great cause, and more people need to be talking about mental health. And we talk about it quite a bit
We
on the
do
podcast.
too, because I know Jen and I have both gone to a lot of therapy, and it's been hugely helpful for
Yeah.
me. One day, maybe for you too, Jen.
That's the prayer, man. No, it is helping a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mikey works in the mental health
Yeah,
field.
I'm actually a
A
licensed
case study.
professional counselor, and I supervise a crisis team.
And I just like that it's just out there more. Like that is one. I mean, social media. There's so much bullshit with social
Yes.
Yeah.
media, but I think this is one area where social media has gotten it right, where people aren't afraid to go out there and talk about
Yeah,
this stuff.
absolutely.
And,
I think so, too.
I think more people know about it, and it's not just a bunch of people going,
It's
"Oh,
helping
you're
break
just
down the
sad.
stigma.
Get over it."
Right.
Yeah.
It's just easier to share about that sometimes when you're not going to see the face of someone responding.
I think
it
social media has
to
a
it.
lot of negative effects on mental health, but one of the good things it's done is really brought down the stigma of talking about mental illness and issues that people face and going through crises and getting help and things like that.
And
it's-
finding community
yeah,
too, like other people who are going
Yeah, I think
through
the community thing's the big thing because you find a lot of people out there that have the same issues you have.
Everyone's flawed, and you're going to find a group of people who are going to be accepting of that.
Yeah,
cool.
that's
Awesome.
a great
Thank you so
cause.
much.
Yeah.
I'm so happy you guys are doing that.
Yeah, me too. That's awesome. We're a member of the Modern Horrors Podcast Network. If you want to check them out, go to
Do they do
modernhorrors.com.
podcasts?
They used to do podcasts, and they will
You
return,
can go check out
I'm
Final
sure.
Girls.
And Death, Dying, and other things.
there
Yeah,
you
so
go.
check out those great podcasts in their feed. Obviously, we're in their feed as well, but if you want to just move over and subscribe to our feed, you'll get it 2 days earlier
Our
on
feed
Monday
tastes
instead
better.
of Wednesday. Our feed does taste better. Ladies. Also, I did mention the website earlier, but check out the blog.
Ooh.
Jen writes for the blog. Mikey has promised to write some It.
I started reading it.
You started reading it, but you haven't
Yay.
written anything for the blog yet. We're looking out for that. Also, if you want a link to our merch store and stuff, that's out there too. Check that out.
Hey guys, that's going to be it from us today. Thank you so much for joining us, Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan, thank you so
Jonathan,
much.
always
Yeah.
so much fun.
We're already working on another time when Jonathan's going to come back and guest. Too.
Absolutely.
You're going to love it. All right. Thank you so much for listening. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, we love you guys.
I'm Jen.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm your horror virgin Todd, guys.
Have a lovely week.
Bye. Nerds.
Ah.